Is the market at a bottom? Hi, I'm Kevin Castaneda, and this is Kev's Mindset. And today we're going to be going over the market, where it stands, what's going on, and whether I personally think it's at a bottom, and basically what to do right now. So, personally, I do think that we're at a substantially low part in the market, especially when you start looking at tech companies, higher valuation companies, companies that don't have any profitability, or companies with smaller margins. When you look at these companies, or even companies with the sizable margins that are tech companies, when you look at these companies, we see things just not looking well for them. Fintechs, especially things like PayPal, Square, Affirm, etc., have kind of been down. So when you look at these companies, it's really important to pay attention to the fundamentals and their valuations. Now, when we look at something like PayPal has pretty solid margins. They have pretty solid cash flow. They have a really solid team and a great brand and a great company in general. And they're still continuing to innovate and launch new products and get into new spaces and develop new technology. Yet, we see their company at a valuation of the 22 forward PE and sitting at about $102 and change for their stock. Now, when you look at this versus where they were at all-time highs in the past 2 weeks, it was over $300 per share. So now we look at the market and we're like, okay, what happened in this company that now the market's valuing it at $100 per share? Like, what fundamentally changed in the company? Now, okay, maybe their growth wasn't as like violently roaring as people had expected, but did the company fundamentally change? Is anything completely different? No. The business is continuing to function just like it was when it was at $300 per share, if not better, and it's continuing to produce cash flow. It's continuing to be a beast of a company and kind of just this great tech giant. So, and fintech giant. So now I'm looking at companies, not just PayPal, but companies like PayPal, let's say Square, Affirm, Enphase, Palantir, Nvidia, all of these different tech companies and fintech companies and just mainly tech. When you look at these companies, we see these valuations being insanely compressed. There's like dozens and dozens of stocks that are at crazy valuations that make sense now to purchase, that you're getting a pretty good deal, whether it's at book value, below book value, or slightly above it. But you're getting good deals now. You're kind of at a point now where a lot of these companies are at a point that it's just a good deal. It doesn't make sense when you look at their growth trajectory, when you look at their team, when you look at their cash flow, when you look at their margins, when you look at their business model and just the future and what it holds. A lot of these companies are starting to become a great deal. So now the problem is, though, are we heading into a recession? Are we heading into a bear market? And is this the bottom? Now, I think it's definitely possible that we head into a bear market or a recession due to the fact that oil is going to skyrocket if we get into a war with Russia, and Russia has already invaded Ukraine very slightly, but they have, and then now the US is kind of saying that they're going to impose sanctions, and we see all these different dilemmas across the world and across the globe in general. And we're looking at this and we're like, okay, what do we do as investors? Do we sit it out, wait for, are we actually gonna have a war? Or if we do, should we sit out the market until it kind of clears up? Or do we invest during these turbulent times? So I think this is a hard question to answer, and I think it's a question that every single investor and every single person watching this video needs to ask themselves. Are you willing to sit through these turbulent times in the market, or would you rather sit on the sidelines with some cash on hand, maybe buy the dip slowly over the next couple of months, next couple of years, and then potentially you miss out on like the big swing up because you were buying little increments, but it can also work out in your favor if the market keeps dropping, if we get in a bear market, if we get into recession, if we just have a lot of slowing in our economic growth, if inflation continues being this high and persistent, if the Fed has to raise interest rates anymore. There's just a lot of different questions to ask and a lot of different problems that need to be solved and a lot of questions that need to be answered. So personally, this is what I'm doing. I'm just slowly continuing to buy the dip. It makes no sense for me to sell out of my portfolio now. There's a lot of stocks in my portfolio that have been kind of really hit, and they're tech companies, and I like their companies. I think that they're great business models. I love them for the future, and I'm not willing to sell these businesses for the valuations that they're at. If anything, I'm adding to my positions because I see them as a ridiculous opportunity and a ridiculous deal. So I'm definitely adding to my positions, and I'm very excited to do this. I have sold out of Nvidia, Tesla, and Ethereum though, but this was not because of the fact that I do not have conviction in them, but because of the fact that I needed the cash, because of the fact that I am buying a car. So I needed it for a personal expense, sold some of those stocks, and just rolled that into buying a vehicle. But if it wasn't for that, I would have totally kept building on my Tesla position, which is what I'm going to be doing now. I'm going to rebuild my Nvidia position, rebuild my Tesla position, and continue to average down on Affirm, Enphase, and Facebook. So that's really what I'm doing with my portfolio right now. I still have a small portion of my portfolio in Bitcoin and Cardano. I want to rebuild my ETH position and those two other companies that I sold, and I'm really excited to continue building out my portfolio. I think it's a great time. I don't think the market's at a bottom, but then again, who knows? And I think it's just a great opportunity to continue to buy. And if PayPal goes from 100 to 80 bucks per share, I'll continue picking that up. That's like what, 15, 4p, something along those lines. And at this point, it's getting nuts. So I'm really excited to continue picking up these companies at these great valuations. And I don't think we're at a bottom, but that doesn't scare me away from continuing to average into the market. So let me know what you think. Let me know your strategy, what you're doing. Do you think we're at a bottom? Do you think we're near it? Do you think we're gonna cut in half from here? Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. I'd love to hear it. Go ahead and smash that like button if you did enjoy this video. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. This was Kev's Mindset. I'll see you guys.